Do I want to buy a crown? Of course I do. And many people do. And many people call themselves kings or queens and princes and whatnot, but truly, the real ones have crowns. The real honorary ones have crowns, and that costs a lot of money, big money for a real crown. And the more expensive the crown, the more honorable, and the longer you can hold upon it. Because you have $100,000 crown on your head, and you're in a certain area, you don't have the palace. There's a guarantee that you may be you'll be either murdered and it'll be stolen, you'll just be robbed and beaten and it'll be stolen. It just has too much precious metal and too much jewels to be anywhere on earth other than where, well, say the Queen lives in Buckingham Palace, behind soldiers, many of soldiers, and she has many of money to um, appease any ambition to want to even think of that crown of being. But that appeasal has got way too far, even in my own world, where everyone thinks that crown that she's wearing is valueless and all that because they've been appeased so much. This isn't even a good crown, but like people have been appeased. Look at King's crown to the point where, well, they think she's wearing a fake crown and they just hold no value to her crown because the crown was supposed to be hold value. You were supposed to fear the crown of the true queen or the true king. You fear the crown. You knew it was worth an insane amount of money that could feed a million pigs or whatever. But you just knew that, or a million people for that matter, of good food. But you just knew you wouldn't dare touch it because because there was a million other swords and things to hit your hand before you could. Um, that's who the real Queen Elizabeth is. And she's reigned. Um, they've reigned supreme for a long time, Britain, and it's so surprising because it's such a small, like island thing. But they have so many British colonies all around the world or whatnot, and same with the monarchs. It's just very amazing how this lady they say, runs the world. Because that's who I feel like runs the world a great deal in a large amount too, is her and her people. Well, I'm one of her people, but you know who else runs the world? There's a lot of Asian people and there's a lot of Arabic people, and then you got the African people, I believe. And then I think that's about all we got as people really that are running the world really at that level. Well, and then you got the Spanish people. And but there isn't too many people, but there's all these new people and all these old people that are leaving and all these new people that are coming and people being introduced and whatnot. Age 95 she is. I wonder how she got her first crown. Is there a thing? How she got her crown? Whoa. The coronation of Elizabeth II took place on June 2nd, 1953 at Westminster Abbey in London. Elizabeth II acceded to the throne at the age of 25 upon the death of her father George on February 1952, being proclaimed queen by her privy and executive council shortly afterwards. So her father was the king, King George, and he had just passed away with whatever which way he had, I'm not sure. And then she was appointed the queen or whatever, in brief note or whatever, I guess. But I guess it's only, I mean, you would assume it would be a long journey. She had to get up and be appointed and things. I bet you it was kind of nerve wracking to a certain extent. Look at him here. I have looked into him a little bit. He was a soldier, a great soldier. Let's see. He was the king of the United Kingdom and the dominions of the British Commonwealth from the 11th of December 1936 until his death in 1952. He was concurrently the last emperor of India until August 1947 when the British Raj was dissolved. Raj. Let's see. I like the way it sounded when he said that he was the emperor of India. Highly respectable that he came from such a high background that he could go down there and emporize an entire nation like India or whatever, what have you. Look at the bust you can get. I don't know. That's always been a thing of mine. But India is its own superpower now, I guess, because they helped. He really built that nation. Yes, they did. It's a dirty nation at that. I heard that they throw their trash on the side of the ground and the cows eat it. And I heard they don't eat beef. And I heard that they got some smart ones there, but generally it's not the cleanest and it's not the most desirable country for me to go. Anyway, early life. The future George was born at York Cottage on the Sandringham estate in Norfolk during the reign of his great grandmother, Queen Victoria. I never get into Queen Victoria, but I always say Victorian age. I'm always quick to say, oh, it's so Victorian, but I've never looked into Queen Victoria. His father was Prince George, Duke of York, later King George the Fifth, second and eldest surviving son of the Prince and Princess of Wales. Later King Edward is that the seventh, and Queen Alexandra, etc., etc. You got the Duchess of York, later Queen Mary, which happen to be names that a lot of my family members were named after. I heard a lot of Marys and heard a few Victorias, but not many. Ooh, is that her? I've seen Queen Victoria. Oh, for sure. I've seen a documentary that said about her how she would just sit there and sort of just be her and her wealth or whatever and her all of her glory, I should say. She used to just sit there and something or the other. I don't know, but I've seen some things about how she was. Look at this one of her. She looks really good in this one. This must have been in her younger years before her weight started to go up. She was probably eating some good meals, great meals. Where in this picture she looked like she was got to be, yeah, much older, or she just plumpened up a bit and all that. She passed away in 1901, so she lived a fairly good life, almost like about 80 years. So, known as the Victorian era, which is a very famous era, all the way from the UK all the way to Canada. A lot of houses and things were built in the Victorian area here in Canada, all the way across. London, Ontario, a lot of Victorian. That's when they built the houses and things. They were with the UK. They came. There was a monarch. Queen. She reigned over in the UK, and they built these Victorian style houses in Canada. That's where a lot of people live in now, and a lot of areas. It all came from the UK and Queen Victoria. Not from her, but she reigned at the time, and that's what we would have said. They had Victoria in her minds while they built the homes to a certain extent, but they had their own wives and things in their own minds. Anyways, Royal Arms outside Scotland, Royal Arms in Scotland. I don't know too much about it. I have to really do my research. I don't have too much time to go over it.